Oh, okay, you can hear me now. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, you can hear me now. Okay. Okay, cool. Alright, now I gotta see if, I mean, this is the only one I got left to see if it works. So, testing, or whatever. Oh, I didn't transition. Sorry. Testing. I'm such an idiot. Okay, that works. Cool. Alright. So, I don't know why the hell it doesn't work on my Facebook anymore. I'm gonna have to, internal error. I'm gonna have to figure this out later. But, so that's, I'll just figure that shit out later. But anyway, there's a hot topic going around the internet, and I literally have no fucking idea, like, about it that much. So what I was going to do is I was just going to do some research instead of blindly giving opinions, which, you know, is what a lot of people do. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of research, because I honestly didn't even, I don't know when this happened. I don't know where it happened. There was so much shit going on during that time that I guess this is one of the ones that just kind of slipped by me. But I've been wanting to do another ReActual for a minute anyways. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, oops. I brought up the wrong one. This one. There we go. Is that the... Yeah, okay. Maybe this will work like this. Is that even centered? I would like to think so. The hell? Did I move my... What? Oh. There we go. There we go. Alright. So anyways, I don't even know how to say this motherfucker's name for real. I just know that there was one of the protests or riots, maybe. And there was one of the protests or riots, maybe. I'm gonna have to remember to kick that fucking, click the transition button. But we're about to find out, pretty much. Probably watch some videos and shit like that. Rittenhouse. I'm just gonna Google this. I just want to know what happened. The shooting. Okay, I guess we can start there. Shooting timeline. Should we start right there, maybe? 2 people. Okay. So there's some people that's saying he got off, and there's some people cheering for him not being guilty. Black Friday sale. I'm absolutely not paying for that. Sorry. Okay, thank God there's a video. So let's watch this video. Hello, fresh. Okay. Perfect. I hear some sizzling. That makes me hungry. I ain't ate yet. Okay. Perfect. Well, goddamn. I can't hear the damn... Goddamn. Nope, hold on. Because I don't hear any sound coming from it. Let me add some audio. Wait, I got this muted, don't I? Y'all hear echo, and I'm so fucking sorry because I'm very unprofessional at this. Audio output. This one. Perfect. Yeah, this one. There we go. I wish I had my damn earbuds and then y'all wouldn't have to hear the damn echo and shit. Let's just do this, hell. Let's just do this, hell. Okay. Alright, y'all can hear it. Cool. Alright, let's watch this. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit.
About a domestic dispute, according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. On August 23, 2020, Jacob Blake was shot multiple times in the back by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after officers responded to a call about a domestic dispute, according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. Within hours, protests began in the city. On the night of August 25, 2020, protesters and groups of armed men who said they were there to protect businesses gathered in Kenosha. Among the armed men was then 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
We don't have non-lethal.
Using multiple videos obtained and verified by ABC News, as well as the criminal complaint against Rittenhouse filed on August 27th, we put together a detailed timeline of the shootings that happened in downtown Kenosha on August 25th, 2020, 2 days after Jacob Blake was shot by the police. This report contains graphic, disturbing images. At 10:04 p.m., a video shows a group of armed men protecting a car shop at the corner of 59th and Sheridan. One young man in a green t-shirt and backwards baseball cap says, A little over an hour later, protesters gathered at an Ultimate gas station at 60th and Sheridan. We see a man who appears to be Joseph Rosenbaum, one of the shooting victims, clash with armed men, also gathered. Back at the car shop at 59th and Sheridan, the same young man who appears to be Kyle Rittenhouse can be seen asking law enforcement for water. And the officers can be heard speaking to the group.
We appreciate you guys, we really do.
At 11:48,
Sorry. I'm gonna restart
17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse,
over because I had to see if my stuff was working.
using multiple videos obtained and verified by ABC News, as well as the criminal complaint against Rittenhouse filed on August 27th, we put together a detailed timeline of the shootings that happened in downtown Kenosha on August 25th, 2020, 2 days after Jacob Blake was shot by the police. This report contains graphic, disturbing images. At 10:04 p.m., a video shows a group of armed men protecting a car shop at the corner of 59th and Sheridan. One young man in a green t-shirt and backwards baseball cap says, A little over an hour later, protesters gathered at an Ultimate gas station at 60th and Sheridan.
So here's one thing that kind of, and this is just like I'm learning as I go. He wanted people to know his name. Like I was kind of, he wanted attention, some type of attention. So that kind of puts me on an uneasy pedestal at like as of right now.
We see a man who appears to be Joseph Rosenbaum, one of the shooting victims, clash with armed men, also gathered. Back at the car shop at 59th and Sheridan, the same young man who appears to be Kyle Rittenhouse can be seen asking law enforcement for water. And the officers can be heard speaking to the group.
We appreciate you guys, we really do.
At 11:48 p.m., gunshots ring out.
Those are gunshots down there.
First 4 bursts, then 3. A man who police identified as Rittenhouse runs across the parking lot of an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless man who was later identified as Joseph Rosenbaum. Moments later, shots ring out.
I did not know it was going like this. Okay, so obviously this is going to be some graphic content. I have no idea if I'll get like temp banned or shit from this, but we'll see.
And the shirtless man falls to the ground. A figure who appears to be Rittenhouse continues running. Seconds later, he comes back into view, and bystanders arrive to help the victim. Rittenhouse can be seen standing by the body, making a phone call. As more people arrive, he runs away out of frame, and someone seems to be heard saying, "I shot somebody."
Okay, so he called.
At 11:49, multiple videos show Rittenhouse running down.
I feel like he may have called the police.
Down the street as a pursuer tries to hit him. Rittenhouse is being chased by several people when he appears to stumble and fall to the ground. While on the ground, police say he fires at least 4 shots, striking 2 people. Anthony Huber is shot and lies motionless in the street. Gage Grosskreutz is shot in the arm and appears to be holding a handgun, according to the criminal complaint. Rittenhouse gets up and runs down the street as police arrive at the scene. People in the crowd can be heard yelling. Rittenhouse raises his hands while his rifle hangs around his torso, and a number of police vehicles drive past him. He walks towards a squad car which is parked near the First United Methodist Church. This is the last time we see him on video ABC News obtained. Rittenhouse was not arrested that night in Kenosha.
The last night, a 17-year-old individual from Antioch, Illinois, was involved in the use of...
Police issued an arrest warrant for him the next day, and Kyle Rittenhouse turned himself in Antioch, Illinois. He was arrested on multiple charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. According to police, Rittenhouse said he was in Kenosha to resolve whatever conflict was in place. In an earlier interview, Rittenhouse said he was there to protect businesses and help people. Rittenhouse's lawyer...
I wish I would have known. So what happened? Like, I wish I would have known what happened right here.
The same young man who appears in the officers can be heard.
I mean, I'm gonna do some more digging, but
Appreciate you guys, we really do.
At 11:48 p.m., gunshots ring out.
Those are gunshots down there.
First 4 bursts, then 3. A man who police identified as Rittenhouse runs across the park.
see, from this, it looks like they attacked him. Which, in that case, there's really no gray area.
Parking lot of an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless man who was later identified as Joseph Rosenbaum.
Because it took a, like, from what this video makes it look like, it took a minute
Bursts,
for even what I'm assuming is Kyle to shoot the
a
guy.
man
But
who
the
police
so that's, I'm assuming, is Kyle,
identified as
and that's
Rittenhouse
someone else.
runs
He throws shit at him. Still, he
across
hasn't
the
shot
parking lot of
anything.
an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless
And
man who was later identified as Joseph Rosenbaum. Moments later, shots ring out. And the shirtless man falls to the
Oops.
ground. A figure who appears to be Rittenhouse continues running. Seconds later, he comes back into view, and bystanders arrive to help the victim.
so, okay. So far, I'm seeing this. Kyle looked like he was attacked. But then he, like, after a while, it seems like he chase shot some more. Which, I don't know. I feel like the guy running off, that should have been it. But, like, I feel like Kyle shouldn't have chased him, if that's what happened. And the other guy shouldn't, like, have attacked him with an AR. But also, Kyle shouldn't have had an AR. I don't know. This is,
Rittenhouse can be seen standing by the body, making a phone call. As more people arrive, he runs away out of frame, and someone seems to be heard saying, "I shot somebody."
That was him.
At 11:49, multiple videos show Rittenhouse running down the street as a pursuer tries to hit him.
Yeah.
Rittenhouse is being chased by several people when he appears to stumble and fall to the ground. While on the ground, police say he fires at least 4 shots, striking 2 people. Anthony Huber is shot and lies motionless in the street. Gage Grosskreutz is shot in the arm and appears to be holding a handgun, according to the criminal complaint. Rittenhouse gets up and runs down the street as police arrive at the scene. People in the crowd can be heard yelling. Rittenhouse raises his hands while his rifle hangs around his torso.
From what I
and a
saw,
number
they
of
attacked
police
him
vehicles drive past
first.
him.
I'm
He
in a
walks
weird
towards a
position
squad
right here
car which is
because I'm
parked near
like,
the First United Methodist Church. This is the last time we see him on video ABC News obtained. Rittenhouse was not arrested that night in Kenosha.
The last night, a 17-year-old individual from Antioch, Illinois, was involved in the use of...
Police issued an arrest warrant for him the next day, and Kyle Rittenhouse turned himself in Antioch, Illinois. He was arrested on multiple charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. According to police, Rittenhouse said he was in Kenosha to resolve whatever conflict was in place. In an earlier interview, Rittenhouse said he was there to protect businesses and help people. Rittenhouse's lawyer released a 3-page statement, arguing his client feared for his life and was acting in self-defense.
that's what it looked like.
The shooting left 2 people dead and another injured. Kyle Rittenhouse pleaded not guilty to charges including first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree intentional homicide, and first-degree recklessly endangering safety. The trial will begin in November 2021, more than a year after his arrest. If convicted, the now 18-year-old faces life in prison.
Okay, so there's that. Oh, okay, that was the whole video. Okay. Oh, that's spicy. Because I need to look up more stuff. Key events surrounding. Okay. Is this the same video? August 23rd. Okay. Well, they just done the same shit. Calm. Though there's not much to go off of. So first and foremost, huge advocate. I'm a huge advocate and ally of Black Lives Matter. But in this situation, from the video that I saw, and I'm gonna do some more digging. So far, I'm just like, it already looked like a dangerous situation, and some of the freaking protests and stuff got pretty fucking intense, and I do feel like there's some actions that happened within when all of this was going on that it escalated to the point of there's really no defending anything that happened, because the whole entire scenario that I saw was wrong. All of it. One, you shouldn't be killing innocent people in general. Period. So the whole, when George Floyd died, when what's the other guy's name? I want to know the other guy's name. Who was that first? Who was the first guy's name?
Dinner.
Dinner.
It's more
Perfect.
than just a meal you make every night. It's a chance to
Something
slow
Blake,
down
wasn't it?
and catch your breath. We'll show you how
I feel
easy
sorry
it
for
is
the
by
business
focusing
owners
on
and the
the
people that had to
5
clean it all
What
up.
do you
Everyone
see?
else out there that not can kick rocks.
Anything?
The government should have stopped it. Yeah.
What do you smell?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's,
How it tastes?
from that video alone, I feel like all of it was the wrong answer. Okay. Hold on.
On August 23rd, 2020,
Jacob Blake. Okay, I knew it was Blake something. Okay. So, this right here, wrong. If there's no immediate threat, no one should die over something. No one should die over something that isn't a threat. You've got other countries and stuff that don't even carry around lethal bullets. It's like rubber bullets and stuff like that. So that right there is wrong. But then also later on, like, okay, so this is a protest. I'm seeing a protest right now.
On the night of August 25th, 2020,
This could still pass as a protest. But then all this shit right here.
they were there to protect.
See, I'm wondering, there's not enough video footage because I'm just like, you don't know what happens in situations like these, because these protests, some of them did turn into riots, and like the whole sparking and shit right there, like you don't know if that's the fucking the police, or you don't know if it's the protesters. These protesters right here has got umbrellas and stuff, so they're guarding, but also it could have been anyone that was setting that stuff off. So it's just like, these videos don't really show that much, and from what I'm seeing,
Gathered in Kenosha. Among the
it was a dangerous situation altogether. This boy right here is 17 years old at this point as well, and this is why I'm saying, like, the whole thing is wrong to me, because this boy is 17 years old. Why the fuck was he out with an AR? He's not even he's not even an adult yet. Like, technically, he's not even an adult. So it's just like, why was he even out there? And I understand that he was trying to, like, protect businesses and such like that, but dude, come on, like,
armed men was then
I feel like he shouldn't have been out there. And that right there, see, I don't like that he tried to, like, have attention either. Right here, when he was like, oh, my name is Kyle, by the way, so he kind of, like, he wanted to be noticed. But that doesn't have anything to do with the stuff that he done. Because, okay, right here, hold on.
August 25th, 2020. 2 days after Jacob.
See, what was that? Was that a...
This report contains graphic, disturbing images.
And you don't know who instigated the stuff like this to happen, because there's shitty people all the way around. There could have been some protesters that started being violent, or there could have been police that were being violent. And this is a dangerous situation altogether.
At 10:04 p.m., a video shows a group of armed men protecting a car shop at the corner of 59th and Sheridan. One young man in a green t-shirt and backwards
I think all in all, he's too young to be out there.
A little over an hour later, protesters gathered at an Ultimate gas station.
I don't know what type of person he is. I don't know, like, any of that stuff, but I think he should have gotten, I feel like he should have gotten something. He should have gotten something. His parents should have gotten something. Don't like you. What's this? Went from cleaning to shooting 3 people. Okay. That same day, Joseph Rosenbaum, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to slaughter it, 36, is released from Milwaukee Hospital, where he had been admitted after a suicide attempt around 10 p.m. Shows Rittenhouse with a rifle standing with other armed men near a used car dealership around 10:45 p.m. Another video shows Rittenhouse asking police officers for water. A jury in the trial of... hold on. I wish I could speak this. I hate reading. Decided on Friday to acquit him on all charges in the deaths of 2 men and wounding of a third with a military-style rifle during protests last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Before the killings, Kenosha had endured 2 nights of chaotic protests over the police shooting of a local black man, Jacob Blake. Several businesses were burned to the ground, and there were incidents of looting. See, that I don't agree with that. Don't fuck other people's lives up just because you're angry. I don't agree with the looting. I don't agree with the with burning shit down. This might hit some people the wrong way, but it's just like, if you're gonna burn shit down, if you're gonna like vandalize and shit like that, this isn't like, don't do it in general. But why would you vandalize people that doesn't have anything to do with its property? I understand you're trying to destroy the city, but it's just like, some people work their ass off to get to a certain point. You could have been destroying anybody's businesses. Like, go, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a better way than to fuck up someone's like living, but also there's a better way to not fucking kill innocent people. Like I said, it's a shitty situation altogether. Around 10 p.m., video shows Rittenhouse with a rifle standing with other armed men near a used car dealership. Rittenhouse testified he was asked to help guard the business due to the threat of looting and arson. He brought a medical kit and says his objective was to provide aid to anyone injured. Around 10:45 p.m., another video shows Rittenhouse asking police officers for water. One officer says, "We appreciate you guys, we really do." Around 11:45 p.m., Rosenbaum chases Rittenhouse into a used car lot as Rittenhouse yells, "Friendly, friendly, friendly." Rosenbaum throws a plastic bag containing toiletries at Rittenhouse. What? Rittenhouse testified that Rosenbaum grabbed his gun. A journalist for the Daily Caller, a conservative website, testified that Rosenbaum lunged for the rifle. Rittenhouse fires his gun at Rosenbaum, hitting him 4 times and killing him. He shouldn't have been hit 4 times. I feel like, and see, that part right there is just like, I guess goes to back up my whole age thing, because that kid is scared. Like, I don't care what anybody says. If someone's lunging after you, and if he was even trying to go for his gun and stuff like that, if someone's coming after you, and there's, visually a riot going on, there's people doing stuff they aren't supposed to be doing, he's gonna be scared. So he from that point on, he shouldn't have even been a part of it in general, because him being scared is what made him shoot 4 times. Anybody who doesn't have any type of I'm sure he's had experience with guns and stuff like that, obviously, but it's just like, bro, you're not even an adult yet. Why? And whoever asked him, if it was an adult that asked him, he literally put him in harm's way from the get-go. Like I said, this whole thing is just shit. Video shows Rittenhouse fleeing the scene of the Rosenbaum shooting and being chased by a crowd. Say no, because he didn't flee the scene. I literally saw in the video that he called somebody and said, "I shot him." I am making the assumption that he maybe called the police. I don't know. I would assume that, because I feel like I said, I feel like he would be scared in the situation. But I didn't see him flee the scene. And there's literally a video that shows that. So, and then he was being chased by a crowd. He was scared out of his fucking mind. Usually I'm not for this bullshit. But in this case, everybody was in the wrong, dude. Everyone. Just minutes later, after stumbling to the ground because he was being chased, Rittenhouse fatally shoots Anthony Huber, a 26-year-old who swung a skateboard at him. He was being attacked. Holy shit. I never thought, usually in these situations, I'm just like, the black community has, like, they've literally been on the shit side of things for my whole lifetime, at least. But this right here, I feel like a lot of people are taking that out on this guy, and it's, I like I said, my whole thing right now is everybody, no, there was no one right in this situation. There was no one right in this situation. After Huber was shot, Gage, I'm not pronouncing that, now 27, stops moving towards Rittenhouse and puts his hands in the air. Okay, hold on. He was holding a handgun when Grosskreutz, I'm going to say that, resumes advancing. Rittenhouse shoots him, severing most of his bicep at his head. Y'all, I mean, this ain't the answer that some of y'all are gonna want, but there's no one right in this situation. Him getting off scot-free is, it's not acceptable. Something, he should have been charged with something. There should be something in this, because, but also everyone who was participating in the looting, everybody who was participating in vandalism, that was unnecessary vandalism, I guess I would say, because, and I say unnecessary vandalism because the stuff that I've seen is like a lot of the shit happening in the justice system has been unpunished for so fucking long. I mean, you can only get so pissed off and have nothing done so much, and then it's just like, well, fuck it. Let's make them hear us, kind of deal. So there's no one right in this situation. If the justice system, I feel like the whole the whole thing goes on the justice system, because it's so fucked that there's no right answer here. And I saw something about, like, I'm not going to be able to find it, but one of the guys, I don't know if he was like, well, okay, so let's go back on, let's see if I can find this real quick, because from what I heard, even the jury was kind of one-sided, if you know what I mean. So, let's see. Is there any pictures of the jury? Is there any, like... And I heard that the fucking judge was unprofessional during the whole time as well. But I wish there was more proof of that. Go away. Played a direct role in choosing randomly the final 12 jurors. Wait. The murder. Oh, sorry. The final 12 jurors who deciding his innocence or guilt in the murder trial over his killing two protesters and wounding the third last summer. At the direction of Judge Bruce, whatever. God, these last names. Rittenhouse's attorney placed strips of paper into a raffle drum with the number of each of the 18 jurors on it who sat through the 2-week trial. The drum had been sitting in a window ledge throughout the trial, but was placed in front of Rittenhouse at the defense table Tuesday. With the jury watching, Rittenhouse then selected 6 pieces of paper from the drum, each bearing a number that corresponded to a juror. The fuck? A court official then read aloud the numbers of the jurors being dismissed. 11, 58, 14, 49, blah, blah, blah. The names of the jurors who have not been made public. The dismissed jurors aren't among the final 12 debating case, but they were required to remain in the courthouse at the request of the defense until the jury returned with the verdict. On Tuesday afternoon, in response to the questions about drawing hours later, not saying that last name, said he's been having defendants pull the numbers of alternate jurors from a drum of roughly 20 years. Okay. Without the jury present on Wednesday, again defended the usual arrangement, saying critics were trying to undermine the result of the trial. He had read the news accounts about how bizarre and unusual it was to have the defendant pick the number out of the tumbler yesterday, and I would admit that I don't know that there's a large number of courts that do that. Maybe not any. Yeah, that's really fucking weird. That is kind of fucking weird. I'm gonna say Schroeder. Schroeder's his name. That's what I'm gonna call him. He said he started allowing defendants to draw the alternates after one trial, and Racine, is that it? When the defendant was black and there was only one black juror. At the time, the clerk drew the number and the only black juror was dismissed. What do they talk about? Optics nowadays? Is that the word for things? Scroto said that was a bad optic, I thought. So I heard that the whole jury was white, and that's alone it's kind of fucking weird to me. But like I said, the justice system is fucked in general. So it's just like, I get like the point that I was trying to make earlier was that there was a black. He had something to do with court. I don't know if he was like one of the lawyers. I don't know what part he played in. It was a couple days ago when I read it, but he was like, if this would have been a black man, then how do people think it would have went? And quite frankly, I mean, you can't help but to think that. It's just did I spell that right? Court hearing, maybe, I don't know. Leaving the court after being found not guilty. I mean, I would be too. Civil court. Court. Is there any videos? Because
this is the dimension of imagination.
Perfect. Wait. Oh, this is an hour long. I kind of want to watch that.
Face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
Well, I wasn't totally surprised with the verdict. It was a tough case for the prosecution. And, you know, ultimately the jury did its job and said the state didn't meet its burden of proof.
Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
I think the moment where the one victim who lived admitted that his gun was facing Rittenhouse before Rittenhouse pulled the trigger. So I think that was pretty pivotal for that witness.
Pointed your gun at him, advanced on him with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him. Then he fired, right?
Correct.
I think the other pivotal part really was Rittenhouse's testimony. I've watched a lot of defendants take the stand, and usually the state is happy when a defendant takes a stand because they usually wind up convicting themselves. They give inconsistent stories. They're all over the place.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this matter?
We're about to watch this.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
You may be seated.
I don't know if Twitch or YouTube will allow this.
Name for the record.
Kyle Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse.
Kyle, where do you reside?
Walworth County.
How old are you?
18.
On August 25th of 2020, did you come to downtown Kenosha to look for trouble?
No.
Would you have...
No. See, that right there alone. There was already trouble there. There was already trouble there. Like how... It was a dangerous situation. You can't say you weren't going there to look for trouble because at this point, the looking for trouble is obsolete. It was just... It was a dangerous situation.
Shot Joseph Rosenbaum if he hadn't chased you trying to take your firearm?
Objection, leading.
Some kind of leading?
Would you... I'll get to it. Are you a high school graduate?
Yes.
What high school?
Penn Foster Online High School.
Are you currently enrolled in any further studies?
I'm a college student studying nursing at Arizona State University.
Who do you currently live with?
My mom and 2 sisters.
Directing your attention to August 25th of 2020, where did you reside?
Antioch, Illinois.
Do you remember the address?
286 Anita Terrace, apartment 104, Antioch, Illinois.
And who did you live with there?
My mother and 2 sisters.
What's your father's name?
Michael Rittenhouse.
Back on August 25th of 2020, where did he reside?
He lived in Kenosha, in the city of Kenosha.
Kenosha. Did I say that right?
Behind the Pick and Save on 50th. On 50.
Do you have any other family that's from Kenosha?
Yes.
I'm glad that this is being brought up.
My grandmother, my aunt, my uncle, and cousins all live in the city of Kenosha.
Okay. There's been testimony in this trial about the firearm in question, which has been marked.
There's
States 28. You've seen that gun?
Yes.
Before August 25th of 2020, had that gun...
Given, literally, I'm looking at this video and there's nothing but white people in there. This shouldn't be like this at all.
Ever left the state of Wisconsin?
No.
Now, before this event happened on August 25th of 2020, did you have any hobbies?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you like to do.
I was a swimmer. I enjoyed working. I was a lifeguard. Hanging out with friends, going to the beach. Just normal teenage stuff.
Were you a member of any groups, organized groups?
Yes.
What?
I was a police explorer for Grays Lake Police Department, and I was a firefighter EMT cadet for Antioch Fire Department.
Did you have any training in life-saving, anything like that?
Yes.
What?
I was a certified lifeguard. I am a certified lifeguard and swim instructor. I am certified in Stop the Bleed, CPR, AED, automatic external defibrillator, and basic life support.
Okay. On August 25th of 2020, where were you employed?
I was furloughed at the YMCA in Lindenhurst, Illinois because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was working at the Recplex in Pleasant Prairie.
Okay. Recplex here in Kenosha County?
Yes.
Now, on the night of the 24th, did you come to downtown Kenosha?
Not downtown, but I came to Kenosha for work.
Okay. And after your shift at work completed, where did you go?
I went to Dominic Black's stepfather's house. I believe his name is Scott Dickhart. It's been a while since I've seen him.
Okay. And who is Dominic Black in relationship to you?
Him and Dominic Black and my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse used to date.
Okay.
So was he bailed out, or did he serve any time at all? I wonder. What charges did he face? Okay, let's go look at this real quick. Okay, so this right here, okay, what charges did Kyle Rittenhouse face? The charge, first degree intentional homicide. I would say no. Attempted first degree intentional homicide. I would say no, but the first degree reckless homicide, I would say yes. On that one, I would say yes. Because that whole situation was reckless. He shouldn't have been acquitted of all charges. He should have at least gotten first degree reckless homicide. So it says up to 5 years for you, plus up to maximum 60 years. He should have gotten that at least. First, yeah. He put himself in a situation to where he wanted to play big boy. And so he should have gotten big boy charges.
And on the night of the 24th, were you aware of anything going on in Kenosha?
I knew there was protests, demonstrations, and riots going on in the later evening.
Okay. And how were you aware of that?
I saw videos on social media, on Facebook live streams, TikTok of. I saw the car source lot being burned down, the car source one what we've been referring to. I saw a police officer get assaulted. He had a brick thrown at his head. And I saw the mattress store owner get knocked out, and I believe his jaw was broken and had to be wired shut or something.
And you saw all of that on the 24th?
Yes.
Did you go to downtown Kenosha at that time and try and do anything about that?
No, I did not.
Directing your attention to the late morning of August 25th, 2020, did you have occasion to go downtown?
I did go to downtown in the morning of August 25th.
Who did you go there with?
I went there with Dominic Black, my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse, and Ray Dickhart.
And describe what you did.
We walked around for a little bit, and then I believe at around 11:30 noon, we ended up at Ruther Central High School, where we ended up cleaning graffiti for about, I want to say, an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Showing what's been previously marked as Exhibit 131. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Could you describe what you see in that photo?
Towards the left in the olive green shirt, that's me, and then to my left, that's Ray Dickhart, and to my right, that's my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse.
What are you doing there?
We're cleaning graffiti off of Ruther Central High School.
And were you getting paid to do this?
No, I was not.
And you see what the graffiti says?
Yes.
And you do what it said as you were cleaning it off?
Yes.
I won't repeat it. After you were done doing that, what did you do?
We were walking, and we went to the car source lot, the first location, and we were looking at the destruction of the burnt cars, and we saw the owner, Sam and Sal, I believe that's what they told us their names were.
And you saw, when we say car source, the one that you met Sam and Sal at is what we've been referring to as car source number 1?
Yes.
And that's the one that they just played a video of all the burnt out cars?
Yes.
Did you have any discussions with Sam and Sal?
Briefly, I offered my condolences, and I said if there's anything I can do, please reach out to me. He gave me his number. I gave him my number, and
you were with Dominic Black at that time?
I was.
And your sister?
Yes.
And what did you do after that?
After that, we walked back to, I believe, we parked our car by, you see the parking lot?
You have a pointer up there?
Yes. We parked our car right in this parking lot in that corner, somewhere over there.
I can't see that far, I'm sorry. You're referring to the parking lot, which is
Who's the
corner of 59th and Sheridan. It would be the southeast corner, correct?
Correct.
And you're pointing the dot. You parked closer to 8th Street, correct?
Yes.
So you can put
Hold on, I'm gonna pause this. How long have I been on here? I have no idea. I've only been on here for like an hour. Okay, so that's fine. Which one did I was gonna look at. Judge yells at prosecutor. I bet he's a. Alright. So let's look at this real quick.
You indicated that at no time did this gun, this AR-15, ever leave the state of Wisconsin. Is that right?
Other than the night after, other than that.
Before the shootings?
Correct.
There was a time, though, where you wanted to have it with you down in Illinois, isn't it? It wasn't there?
I believe there...
Okay, hold on. Judge Schroeder yells at prosecutor Thomas Benji over previous ruling.
When me and Dominic were mad at each other, yeah.
You were mad at Dominic?
Me and Dominic were mad over something.
And you wanted to have the gun with you down there?
I think I said something along those lines.
You'd agree with me that... Let me back up for a second here. You have...
I wonder if there's a way I can put a filter, edit filters on here. No. Because I don't know if this will be allowed, but we'll see.
Testified to this jury that you used deadly force against Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, the man who attempted to kick you in the face, and Gage Grosskreutz on the night of August 25th, correct?
Yes.
And you did that because you felt that your life was in danger from those 4 people, correct?
Yes.
And you are telling this jury that it was, in your mind, justified to use deadly force to protect your own life, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Well, I wasn't using deadly force to protect the property. I used deadly force to protect myself, so...
That was a lie. You have an AR. So anytime you're walking around with an AR, you're already giving the image of intimidating people away from the area. So you might not be how do I put this? Your intentions might not be that you want to do it with deadly force, but also, like, if I end up in a bad neighborhood and with the knowledge that there's going to be people like that have weapons and shit like that, I feel like I'm going to try to avoid it. And if you are the person with a weapon, then you are a risk. I don't know what the fuck that sound just was, but it's just... That's not...
Please listen to my question and answer my question if you can. You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to stop someone from smashing the windows of an unoccupied parked car, correct?
I don't think you could use deadly force for that.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a metal dumpster on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from tipping over.
Correct.
You'd agree.
What the fuck is going on? From tipping over what? Why is my internet being stupid?
Fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from tipping over.
Correct. This might be the live stream's fault, actually.
You can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a flatbed trailer on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone who is about to start an unoccupied car on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting some traffic cones in the middle of the street on fire, correct?
Correct.
So you understand that there's a difference between using deadly force to protect yourself and using it to protect property, correct?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that you're not allowed to use deadly force to protect property, correct?
Yes.
But yet you have previously indicated that you wished you had your AR-15 to protect someone's property, correct?
I'm going to ask you to go into the library again for a moment, please. Please don't talk about the case.
See, here's the thing. From what I saw and from what I read and heard and everything like this, it was like the judge was buddy-buddy with Kyle the whole time. It shouldn't be that way. It should be a mutual ground in general.
Questions, rulings. Your Honor, Mr. Binger is either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an
Why is it... Is it because this is loading? I'm confused.
First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that, and the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was not our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move
that
to
was
reconsider.
Their motion.
We have not filed any motions to reconsider in this case.
That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives, well, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
We filed another ReActual motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect, this exact same weapon, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect...
I'm not going to rehash the motion. That's absolutely untrue. No. Your arguments of record, my comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest that anything's changed, even if you're correct in your assumption that you know more than I did at the time. You should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any advance notice to the court, I don't understand that. And as
okay. This is also another issue I have with the court system is there's rules. I believe that anything that is able to describe what the defendant is like, anything, I feel like it should be allowed, because it's just it needs to put in the jury's minds of different situations, because some of these people, they have money, they have privileges to be able to persuade a court into going in the direction that they want to go into. And that's not okay. It's not okay. So I say any evidence should be allowed, period. Any of it. Because you get people that get off scot-free that people know that are guilty. And it's just like, if you're refusing information, then you're taking that justice away.
Pointing out you're an experienced trial lawyer, and this should not have been gone into.
Your Honor, there have been things in this case, testimony in this case, that I believe opens the door to this. For example, the defense has introduced evidence that the defendant pointed a gun at a man wearing yellow pants because that person was on a car on the car source lot. Now, there's no justification that I can think of why the defendant would point that gun at someone. The defendant has just testified this morning that he agreed with that person in the yellow pants that he pointed the gun at him. He said, I was joking when I said that to the guy in the yellow pants, but he said, he's acknowledged that he told the person in the yellow pants, yeah, you're right. I did point a gun at you when you were sitting on a car.
He said, I did. That's what he
Exactly.
testified.
So he's agreeing. May I finish, please? I'd like to have a chance to make a record if I could, without being interrupted, if that's okay. He has mentioned that he's acknowledged that he's used this gun to protect property. He's also just acknowledged that he knows he can't do that. I am attempting to impeach him now with the prior August 10th incident, 15 days prior, involving the same gun, where he is threatening to use that gun to protect property. It goes...
He had the gun with him.
Your Honor, he is saying he wished he did so he could shoot people.
You know, there's a lot of difference between commenting about something when you haven't got a gun.
August 10th incident. He's also just acknowledged that he knows he can't do that. I am attempting to impeach him now with the prior August 10th incident, 15 days prior, involving the same gun, where he is threatening to use that gun to protect property. It goes...
He had the gun with him.
Your Honor, he is saying he wished he did so he could shoot people.
You know, there's a lot of difference between commenting about something when you haven't got a gun and threatening someone when you do.
You know, it's interesting, Your Honor, because the entire defense theory in this case is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was unarmed.
I want you to tell me what the defense theory of the case is. I want...
May I respond to what you just said, Your Honor? I'd like to respond to what you just said. I apologize, Madam Court Reporter, but I'd like to try and make a record without anyone interrupting me, if that's okay. I believe that there is a central part of this case that Mr. Rosenbaum is making threats that he has no ability to carry out. So, to your point, Your Honor, you're arguing that this August 10th incident, one aspect of why you don't believe it's relevant is the defendant didn't have the gun with him. This case is about someone who didn't have a weapon, and yet the jury is being told because of those threats, that means the defendant has to defend himself. So, with all due respect, Your Honor, mere verbal threats have already been shown to this jury and used as a basis for someone's subsequent actions. I am attempting, with the defendant, to use his mere verbal threat on August 10th, 15 days prior, that he's going to shoot shoplifters with his AR-15 to impeach the defendant in a murder trial. I would ask the court's forbearance to do that. I apologize, Your Honor. You're right. I probably should have brought this to your attention earlier. I may have misunderstood your ruling because I...
Oh, okay, that's their camera that they have. Oh my god, go fuck yourself.
This jet engineer just discovered how to heat homes for almost zero.
Shut up.
Made that more relevant. You would admit it, or at least consider it an admittance. I believe, based on the evidence that we've heard, and more specifically, exactly what the defendant said earlier about admitting pointing a gun at someone who was merely jumping or sitting on a car, that the door is open now to this testimony. And I continue to believe that his state of mind, his intent, his belief as to self-defense is the core of this case. That was the basis for my motion. You were strongly inclined against it. I understand that. But now we're in the middle of trial, and there's been a lot of evidence that's come in that I think makes this relevant. So I'm attempting to impeach the defendant on his beliefs. I believe I'm entitled to impeach the defendant on his beliefs and on his statements.
I'm going to interrupt you now because you're talking about his beliefs. I think that's what they call...
His statements too, Your Honor. Because he just said, can't use deadly force, can't threaten to use deadly force to protect property. So now I'm impeaching him on that.
Your Honor, the court has seen no reason to change its ruling. And just so this record is clear, in spite of the lengthy statement by Mr. Binger, before we started today, the court specifically stated in Mr. Binger's presence, there's been nothing to have me change any of my rulings. There have been numerous occasions during this trial where they've opened the door. The one time when they're going into Mr. Rosenbaum's prior reason he doesn't like guns, and I said something, I whispered in Mr. Krause's ear, it's because of the prior convictions. Please stop. And he did. He knows
also, I'm a huge advocate on gun control in general. Because there should be no fucking reason that somebody's walking around with an AR in general.
into something
Like, I
that's been excluded
shouldn't be
in
able to go on
pretrial
that
order,
one.
you better ask
That's
the
just how
court.
I am.
You better
It's
get
whatever.
permission.
People
is
have their different
ridiculous.
views, but it's just
It wasn't excluded, Your Honor.
You know why?
stuff like this happens. You have a guy who's not an adult yet kill someone.
It was excluded in the first place because it's
Who hasn't been properly trained. Anybody who's not properly trained can go buy a gun, and that's
propensity evidence.
not okay.
That is exactly what 90404 is designed to prevent. You're talking about his attitudes. His attitude is he wants to shoot people. Now, I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it in this case because, to me, what I've heard in this trial, and by the way, Mr. Richards absolutely correctly points out that just hours ago, I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense testimony.
get brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. That's number one. Number two, this is propensity evidence. I said at the time that I made my ruling, and I'll repeat again now for you, I see no similarity between talking about wishing you had your AR gun, which you don't have, so that you could fire rounds at these thought to be shoplifters, and the incidents in these cases, which are not, there's nothing in your case that suggests the defendant was lying in wait to shoot at somebody, or reflecting upon the shooting for a vast amount of time. Every one of the incidents involves matters that involve seconds in time. So I commented at the time, I don't see the similarity, and I don't see the similarity now. If it's not similar, that's the whole rule. Those are all the exceptions to 90404. Check the authorities. Wigmore and evidence. Judge Weinstein. Colonel
What's
McCormick.
Fox News got to say
Good evening,
about
welcome
it?
to Tucker Carlson. Tonight, people are totally absorbed in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and you have to ask, why is that? Why is it so fascinating? Well, part of the reason it's just so interesting is because the facts are so different from what we've been told for more than a year, completely different. And it's shocking to compare reality against the version of reality we've been force-fed. Here's one example. Just days after Rittenhouse was first arrested, that was back in August of 2020, a pro-censorship organization called PolitiFact published what it called a fact check of the case. In a posting on its website, PolitiFact claimed that Kyle Rittenhouse had committed a crime by carrying...
I don't really want to watch anything that has to do with Fox, to be honest. Is that what I'm watching now? No. I just want to see...
Rittenhouse was so well rehearsed.
The dude. Thanks, the dude. I don't really want to become famous, to be honest. What's this?
A police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin shoots a black man named Jacob Blake 7 times from behind, leaving him partially paralyzed. Two days later, in the midst of protests and unrest, a teenager carrying an assault rifle kills 2 people and wounds a 3rd. Now that shooter, 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time, is standing trial on charges of murder. The case will likely focus on the few crucial minutes around the fatal shootings on August 25th of 2020.
So, the first video that I saw was
But our
literally...
investigation of these events reveals that the story is about much more than a single person. We analyzed hours of footage from that day and traveled to Kenosha just weeks after the events to hear from witnesses, several of whom have now been subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse trial.
It felt volatile, it felt tense, it felt like a war zone.
We're not like bad people or like people just going out to like shit up.
I feel like had we not been there and not reacted the way that we did to the situation, I think we could have been looking at an even worse scenario.
We also spoke with the sheriff who led law enforcement's response that night, which has become the subject of lawsuits. While protests against systemic racism were what first drew out crowds in Kenosha, Rittenhouse, his victims, and many of those closest to the shootings were white. What we found was a complex set of motivations on the streets that night that reflected the growing polarization in the country and helped set the scene for violence.
Oh shit. We got shots fired, guys. We got shots fired.
On the Sunday before the Rittenhouse shooting, Kenosha police officers respond to a domestic complaint.
This will probably be the last video that I watched.
Try to arrest Jacob Blake. As Blake moves away from them and leans into his car, he's holding a knife. An officer shoots him. Blake's lawyer later said that Blake didn't pose a threat. Video of the shooting quickly spreads online.
To hear about it is one thing, but to watch it, I guess it got to the point where, how many more?
Y'all ain't here to protect us. There we go.
Corey Washington, who's a local live streamer and now subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse trial, arrives to document the situation.
Let's check the scene out over here. I mean, there's tons of people already starting to gather there. In the air, you could kind of feel the tension. At a certain point, more sheriffs arrived on the scene, and their presence kind of aggravated the crowd.
Okay.
And from there, it just started going crazy.
See, that's what I'm saying.
For the next 48 hours, the protests
It was a
intensified.
shitty situation altogether, bro.
And at night, local businesses are looted and set on fire.
Because now it's in a situation to where you killed an unarmed black man. Police show up and such, and then they call for backup. I mean, you don't know what was happening before the backup. I mean, that's going to piss people off because you're bringing more people that, I don't know, man.
Eventually, a new group inserts themselves into the already chaotic scene. Dozens of men, mostly white, equipped with military-style weapons and gear. And soon, a Facebook post will incite more of them to come. It's Tuesday morning, 13 hours before the Rittenhouse shooting, when on a Facebook page called The Kenosha Guard, a post publishes.
So my post just...
To take up arms and defend our city not from the evil thugs. No doubt. They are currently planning the next part of the city to burn tonight.
Just basically said, are there any...
Look, from someone who has been in the reserves for almost 10 years. Unless it's an immediate threat to you, it is not your job to do this stuff. It is not. We've got the reserves, we've got the National Guard, we have police force. And when I say this, I mean every single bit of it, because I've seen both sides of the stories. When you've got more people pissed off than the people who are just there for a job, people who are there that are trying to keep people safe and stuff like that, when you've got more people that's angry, there's an issue. Because there's this saying that even if there's a group of people, like if be different kind of deal, like if everybody's going this way, then you go the other way because it makes you different, because everyone's not right kind of deal. But it's just like, bro, when there's so many people on the same page, there's something wrong. Like the people on the other side, it's wrong somewhere, in my opinion. And maybe not, I don't know, but this is a situation that should be fixed, and that should have been fixed by now. And even if there was a situation in where a black man gets killed, and it turns out he was armed, it turns out that he was violent, it turns out that he was posing a threat, then it's not really going to matter at this point. I'm sorry, but it's not. Just because for so long, like I said, for my entire lifetime, the black community has been just shut out. And when it comes to something like this, they want to be heard for a good reason, because this shit has happened so much that it's not going to matter whether the person was armed or not. What's going to matter is you killed someone, and the way that it looked was they didn't pose a threat to you. And I mean, no fucking doubt about it. This shit happens with it, even with the George Floyd thing. He posed no fucking threat, and then they killed him. They murdered him, straight up. But this shit happened so back to back that it's just frustrating, people. The justice system is not changing. And while I agree that Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't think he should have gotten charged with the other two charges, but I do feel like the reckless homicide should have been a thing. Just because the whole situation was reckless. He should have gotten something, but it's to me, for the most part, he was defending himself. However, he put himself in a position of danger in general, willingly, and also was wanting to get recognized and noticed off of it. That's why he said his name. And it's just the whole thing is just fucked.
Us willing to take up arms and defend our lives, our families, our neighborhoods, and our businesses.
The author of the post is Kevin Mathewson, a controversial former city councilman, who's now been subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse trial.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to gather here. There's about 10 of us.
Hours after his post, thousands have seen it, and Mathewson arrives at Civic Center Park, the epicenter of the recent protests.
When you burn down a building, you're risking lives, right?
I wanted people to come play defense. I wanted people to come to protect themselves.
But bro, like, none of them had ARs. Like, sorry, I'm texting.
Any business owners ask you for help, for protection?
I was not asked directly by a business to...
Okay, so now this turns into a whole nother direction. Because, look, there's so many people that's fucking standing around and they do not have ARs.
Basically said, are there any patriots among us willing to...
This turns it to a whole nother fucking direction, in my opinion. It really does.
...arms and defend our lives, our families, our neighborhoods, and our businesses.
Look at
the
this
author
shit.
of the post is Kevin Matheson.
This is what I'm completely fucking
controversial
against.
Former city councilman.
Because you got nerds like this motherfucker that just wants to seem relevant. And I mean, I'm going to say it how it is. And then they go and do some stupid shit like this. Go to somewhere to hold an AR where no fucking else body has an AR but the people who were called
Hours
there.
after his post, thousands have seen it, and Matheson arrives at Civic Center.
You are not a fucking defender. You are not a police officer. This, like, stop. You just, in my opinion, you just want attention at this point.
The recent protest.
Look at this shit. Look at this. Who the fuck has an AR in this situation? Just this motherfucker.
Burn down a building, you're risking lives. Right?
I wanted people to come play defense. I wanted people to come to protect themselves.
Fuck.
But did any business owners ask you?
No, they
for
didn't
help
ask
for
him.
protection?
I was not asked directly. By a business to
You wanted to seem relevant. This is how I feel. I feel like you just wanted to seem relevant.
Come to protect themselves.
But did any business owners ask you for help for protection?
I was not asked directly by a business to defend anybody.
At this point, demonstrators are marching peacefully in downtown Kenosha. They're demanding an end to police violence against black people. The presence of openly armed white men inflames the situation.
If you're not for Black Lives Matter and you're not for the movement, get the fuck out of here and quit burning the fucking town down.
Why is he here, and why is it okay that he's here with an assault rifle to protect infrastructure? But if I was here against the police to protect life, would I be able to?
The Second Amendment is meant for everybody. It's not exclusive to white people.
Out of everyone that I saw with the militia, they were all white males.
And that's an
I
issue.
honestly feel that they came to incite more racial problems.
Portia Bennett, who's a local activist, has been protesting for the last 2 days.
You get to see the people now that you have been living around forever. There are no more masks being worn.
Are there some truly peaceful protesters that may have been a little intimidated about seeing an armed person with a gun? Probably.
Because you didn't need a motherfucking AR. You was there to be intimidating because you don't have any fucking confidence.
The Second Amendment is very clear, and my rights don't end where somebody else's feelings begin.
You are such a fucking corny ass motherfucker. That is a Facebook post for your asshole. That's where what every fucking body says that does that shit. You're just wanting to seem like a fucking badass and you're pathetic.
Throughout the day and early into the evening, more openly armed men arrive near the protests. Some position themselves close to businesses that had been damaged on earlier nights. This is where we first see Ryan Balch, an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran from a town 40 minutes away, who's there with a group of friends. He's also been subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse.
Listen, this is another situation. Sometimes, and I'm not saying this in this guy's case, I'm about to listen to what he has to say, but there's people that he's a veteran, an Afghan veteran. There's some people who crave chaos. There's absolutely people who crave chaos and they want to put themselves in dangerous positions, in dangerous situations, just so they can fucking do what they want to do. And that's absolutely shit that fucking happens. So.
Trial.
I would say what brought me to Kenosha was that I felt like something needed to be done. If law enforcement's not going to try to keep the peace, then somebody else.
They were trying to keep the peace. You literally saw them like
needs to go
with
out there
tear gas and everything. It's not your job.
Balch argues that his military.
So why is he like they're walking around with ARs, fucking pretending to be some kind of authority, and that's what pisses me off. Like.
Gave him the skills to help bring events under control.
We kind of trusted ourselves to insert ourselves in that situation, and
because you were
bring
bored.
the situation to the correct conclusion.
Something you thought was a correct conclusion. See, this is the type of shit that I'm talking about. He, as well, had no fucking business to be out there. None. He's retired. He's bored. He needed something to do. He craved what he got in Afghanistan, more than likely. He can't get it anymore because he's fucking retired. He got out. He's got out of shape. Oops. Bullied. But let's call it what it fucking is, dude. Like.
At the time, he also supported the extremist Boogaloo movement, which is anti-police and calls for the government's overthrow. He says he later stopped supporting the movement. Balch and his friends eventually link up with other openly armed men. Among them is Kyle Rittenhouse.
Who shouldn't have been out there because he's fucking
Rittenhouse is
17, bro.
old.
17.
He's come to Kenosha from his home in Illinois.
I wonder if he was just a part of that fucking group.
Balch says he didn't know Rittenhouse or the people he was with, but decided to team up with them anyway.
They weren't on the level of me and my guys. I don't think they trained formally together at all. But the more guys you got, the better off you are.
As for Rittenhouse, we don't know whether he sees himself as some kind of neutral force between the protesters and the police, like Ryan does. His
I want to hear videos
social
of
media
this.
posts at the time seemed to indicate he was a strong supporter of law enforcement.
So he was
Since
kind
the
of
shooting, he's also been
mocking.
seen flashing white power signs. And he's become an icon for far-right groups. Soon, Balch and Rittenhouse will come face-to-face with racial justice protesters.
That just changed my whole fucking outlook.
Still have a fairly large crowd out here.
The organized daytime protests at the park are now over, and law enforcement has announced a curfew.
Our goal that entire evening.
Oops.
Was to disperse people from the Civic Center after curfew and to get them to leave, to get them to go home.
Kevin Mathewson, who'd called for the presence of armed civilians that morning, says he left because he was worried about the safety of his family, 10 miles away.
My wife was on the phone with me saying, hey, get your ass home. Kids are scared.
What you should have.
Breaking curfew was worth helping to create some type of positive change. It's one thing to sit at home and say that, yes, Black Lives Matter, but it's so much more impactful to put another body on the street.
Nathan Pete has been demonstrating in Kenosha for days. But tonight's protest is different, and he's carrying a gun.
I don't normally like to carry at protests because I don't want it to be seen as a sign
of aggression.
But
Exactly.
I did carry on Tuesday, specifically because of the threats that I saw floating around in the Kenosha Guard group.
Just arriving at the protest are Hannah Giddings and her boyfriend Anthony Huber. Both are unarmed, but by night's end, Huber will be shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. Giddings has now been subpoenaed for Rittenhouse's trial.
I wouldn't really say we were like heavy activists or anything previously, but we knew Jake Blake and felt like
They said they were unarmed, but then at the court they said that they were armed, and he agreed that he was armed, right? Is this him?
There's power in numbers. 150,000 people helped. AlabamaDebtRelief.org.
So, your statements about what actually happened, first time that we're getting
that had to be
insight
him.
as to what actually happened is today, right?
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, on the 24th, you refused to answer questions, right?
The 24th of
September.
Correct.
And the day after the incident, you acknowledge you left out the fact that you even had a gun, right?
That is correct.
So he had a gun. Yeah, so.
Standing united with the people who believe the same.
So they lied.
Giddings has now been subpoenaed for Rittenhouse's trial.
I wouldn't really say we were like heavy activists or anything previously, but we knew Jake Blake and felt like we needed to be present and standing united with the people who believe the same things that we do and want basic human rights, civil rights, equality.
The standoff between protesters and the police becomes more violent.
If anybody get hurt out here, it's on y'all.
Everything started to move super quickly. Police and riot gear all yelling to disperse and go home. You're breaking curfew.
See, that shouldn't have been a thing either. But I mean, COVID and shit. I mean, there should be a difference between. You shouldn't be shooting rubber bullets at people breaking curfew because that's not okay. I feel like if we're claiming to be a free country, then I mean, fuck it.
Got grabbed by the police, and he threatened to lock me up if he caught me out there again at night. I just went home.
Faced with this massive show of force, only a small number of protesters choose to stay. Among the shrinking crowd is Gage Grosskreutz, a paramedic from Milwaukee, who's also under subpoena for the Rittenhouse trial.
When you go into a protest or a march in a medic capacity, you're essentially waiving that luxury to be able to pick a side because, ethically speaking, you know, you're there to treat everybody.
Like Nathan Pete, Grosskreutz decided to come armed with a handgun.
Because that's my right. Simple as that.
He'll later be shot by Kyle Rittenhouse after drawing his gun and trying to...
Oh, so, okay, that was that guy. Never mind. Okay, my bad. Yeah. So that's the, so this guy's the paramedic?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that was the paramedic. Okay.
Stop him.
Okay. So never mind.
The park is closed.
It was going the direction we wanted it to go.
To the unlawful assembly.
Law enforcement has one clear plan on this night.
We're not going to let the city of Kenosha burn because you want to, in the late evening hours, start destroying stuff.
Over the course of the next 2 hours, officers forced some of the protesters southeast, across the park, and onto this street, Sheridan Road, in the direction of the...
Oh, so they were at the county courthouse.
Openly armed civilians. Balch, Rittenhouse, and other armed men are still stationed a few blocks down the road, near businesses.
So the police like guarded them away from
damaged on previous nights.
I think that the police set the stage for it.
Yeah.
They knew that there were armed groups down there.
But you just
they could have not pushed the protesters down Sheridan.
The sheriff told us that the police didn't plan for the armed presence down the road.
What did you tell your deputies to do if they encountered armed militia people?
By the time I think I knew that they were out there doing this, we had our staff was already deployed out there protecting the area. There was no direction to deal with the Kenosha Garden anyway at that point.
Yeah.
We were
once again, that was not their job.
We were going forward with the plans we had already had.
And we got the militia here.
Once protesters and openly armed civilians...
So once again, the damn fucking Kenosha Guard or whatever, they had no business.
Confrontation.
No business.
As Balch and his group argue with protesters, Pete is live streaming.
Between Ryan and his group and the other protesters, I definitely felt quite a bit of tension. There were a couple very, very hot-headed members of his group actively agitating protesters.
You guys want to fuck around and find out?
Hey.
Balch tells protesters
once
to keep
again,
moving.
a dick swinging contest.
They were going to push y'all to us, have y'all get pissed off at us, and then wrap you guys the fuck up.
Right.
So that's why I'm trying to push everybody on and move fast.
So he lied. See, that right there just proves that my part of he just wanted fucking attention. He just wanted something to do. So fuck him.
One of the militia members claimed that a police officer told him that the officers were going to push the protesters out of Civic Center Park and that the militia would handle them.
I don't believe that for a second.
The police continue pushing protesters further down the road.
So that just proved my point on that
near a
motherfucker.
gas station.
He was just looking for attention and wanted to act like he was fucking a badass. Something he can't fucking do anymore. Probably never could do.
Here is where we first see Joseph Rosenbaum, the first person Kyle Rittenhouse fatally shoots that night. He joins the fight against the armed civilians,
Shoot me, nigga! Shoot me, nigga!
as other protesters try to stop him.
Really? Did he say what I think he said?
Near a gas station.
Whoa. Yeah, watch out. They got their guns up.
Hey, they're just trying to protect their property. Hey, no one touch anyone.
They're racist and they're out here to look cool.
Here is where we first see Joseph Rosenbaum.
But so is this motherfucker.
The first person Kyle Rittenhouse fatally shoots that night. He joins the fight against the armed civilians.
Me, nigga! Shoot me, nigga!
Bro. You just wanted an opportunity to use that word, and you're, oh my lord.
As other protesters tried to stop him.
See, there's shitty people all the fucking way around, dude. This was a shitty situation.
Rosenbaum has just been released from the hospital after undergoing mental health treatment. His reasons for being here are unclear, and he doesn't appear to have attended a protest before.
He was looking for an excuse to get out and let out aggression. That's exactly what the fuck he was there for. And he found an opportunity to, I mean, just like he just used that word, like he was finding an opportunity to let shit out and be completely fucking rambunctious.
But his actions on this night will add to an already volatile situation. At this point, the group of protesters has thinned out even more.
All of this is done pretty much in the name of Black Lives Matter, and there's definitely black people in the crowd, but there definitely was more white people.
The armed men chalk up any conflict with the protesters to miscommunication.
Oh God.
We had some negative interactions, but that was more of a confusion on their part about what we were about.
But many of the protesters feel uncomfortable with the armed presence. They accuse Balch and others of playing vigilante.
Why are you going to show up, especially Kyle Rittenhouse, show up to a city you don't even live in, armed to the teeth to protect your community? This is not your community, pal. You don't live here.
Are you guys protecting that building? Yes! Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But the police praise the armed men and offer them assistance.
Need water? We'll give you a couple. We appreciate you guys. We really do.
This is not the group of people we want here, but you can open carry weapons. So there wasn't a violation of the law.
But just like the protesters, the armed civilians are violating the curfew, and police treat them much differently.
After that curfew,
That's a good point.
It didn't seem like police was trying to actively disperse or arrest any
That's
of
what I
the
was about to
armed
say.
civilians. Why is that?
I'm not aware of any of the protesters that weren't being violent that were arrested either. Peaceful people were not getting arrested that night.
Hey, Dad, if you can keep people from pointing their guns at the crowd.
The armed men appear emboldened by the inaction of the police towards them. Minutes after encountering the officers, Rittenhouse explains to a reporter from the Daily Caller why he thinks he belongs in Kenosha.
Our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle.
It's about 15 minutes
don't need it,
until he'll
though, bro.
fire his first shot.
You do not need it. See, he's not even around the business anymore. He got away from the fucking business too.
Each other, and the
So that's not
situation
even...
is about to turn deadly. Nathan Pete is filming from here. Hannah Giddings and her boyfriend Anthony Huber are nearby. Corey Washington is here. His footage captures both Gage Grosskreutz and Ryan Balch walking by. Then Kyle Rittenhouse runs past his camera.
I had been looking kind of at him the entire time because he looked young, he had a gun. So at the point where I see him run by me, I was like, that's weird. So I followed down in that direction.
I'm already trying to, but
Militia's only like to play
let's check it out, right?
Rittenhouse walks towards a parking lot where cars are being vandalized. He passes Joseph Rosenbaum, who was fighting with the armed men at the gas station earlier. Rosenbaum now starts chasing Rittenhouse and throws a plastic bag that holds his belongings.
Yeah, he should have not even had anything to do with that fucking situation. He wasn't even like... Is this the auto store that they said that they claimed they were like protecting or some shit?
Belongings from the
because he was somewhere else before this. And there's no one, I mean, from what I see, there's no one really doing anything to the cars right now.
A man holds up a handgun and fires it.
Oh.
We don't know why. Then Rosenbaum lunges towards Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse fires 4 times.
Had I been in his shoes, getting chased, and then I heard a gunshot, I can't say that I would have done anything.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah.
Differently.
Rosenbaum, who's been hit, falls to the ground. There are 3 more shots from someone else in the parking lot.
Oh shit. We got shots fired, guys. We got shots fired.
Pop, 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 pop. And I was like, oh, so they are really shooting.
I gotta find some cover.
Oh man, maybe they really are really just trying to kill people. And if they were going to take advantage of a situation, I'm a black person. And there's I don't want to be a target.
Rittenhouse calls a friend, while others are helping Rosenbaum, who's on the ground. Then he flees the scene.
Why you shoot him? Hey! No, why you shoot him?
He didn't disarm himself after the first shooting. He continued to run around. As a gun owner, I view his actions as completely irresponsible.
Yeah, because he's a
you
fucking
come
kid.
Through looking wild with a gun on you. People are going to think that you're doing something wild with a gun on you. So they reacted the way they should have reacted.
Yeah.
As soon as they were all saying he shot somebody, Anthony was gone. And I tried to grab onto him and like, nobody was gonna stop him, you know? And then I hear a bunch more gunshots down the road and I was like, I just had a feeling. I just had a feeling it was him.
Rittenhouse trips and falls.
Shoot somebody else.
Anthony Huber hits Rittenhouse with a skateboard and attempts to disarm him. Rittenhouse shoots him in the chest.
Yeah. Oh.
Here is Gage Grosskreutz with his gun drawn. He also gets shot and calls out for help.
That was a
fucking medic! I'm trying to get on the back.
The reality of it is this is going to be a part of my life from here on out.
Keep him right there. We're coming out to you.
Rittenhouse runs toward police vehicles and raises his hands.
Hey, he just shot them! Hey, dude right here just
He went over there for protection. Put your fucking weapon
police
down.
Make no attempt to stop him, and he isn't arrested until the next day.
I didn't talk to them, but I'm sure they didn't know what this person was doing.
I'm just looking for my partner. Like, I'm just trying to find where he went. I knew he had been shot, you know? And then later on, I saw that video. They had pulled Anthony into that truck like minutes before I got there.
Both Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber die from their injuries.
Dude, Anthony Huber, man, he went down like a hero. You know, he thought there was a threat there and he was reacting to it. He just wasn't quick enough to react to that threat. And so, I mean, he got a really good death out of that.
Oh, no. See, in a lot of ideology in the military is dying for your country and stuff like that is a good death. There's no good death out of anything. Like, what he was doing was, I guess, could be considered right. But also, it's just such a... People always saying, like, oh, they died for the right reasons and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. I 100% just believe that the situation shouldn't have happened altogether. I mean, you've got so many other people to think about other than yourself when it comes to your life. So, that's not a good death. And this guy only said that because he's a veteran. Because he went into the military and got drilled into his head that it's a good thing to die for your country, a good thing to die protecting, like, stuff like that. And that's brainwashing at its finest. That's one of the reasons I'm glad I'm getting out of the military, because they try to brainwash you. They try to. And it's just, him just saying that is insulting.
He was 26. He had like...
Anybody?
It's just like brutally cruel and unfair how that can be snatched away like that by anybody.
People, and in regards to this, people, I feel like going into these situations, you're acknowledging that there's bad things that can happen. You getting in a car is like acknowledging that you could die in that car. So it's just, you've got to be careful in these situations no matter what. If you're going to go and do something like this, you've got to be prepared. And I'm not talking about like, oh, bring your ARs, bring your body armor, blah, blah. Like, no. Like, if you're going to go put yourself in harm's way on purpose, like, just don't put yourself in a position of being a threat.
Who feels like it?
Shit like this happens, man, and it sucks.
Yeah. It's awful. It's awful, and there's no words to say to like make that feel any better.
People lose people, and it's just, it sucks.
I believe truly in my heart that if it wasn't for my actions and these brave men and women who answered my call to arms, I think that we would have seen a way worse outcome than what we saw.
No, you just want to make yourself feel more important than you are.
But 2 people died.
Yeah, 2 people died, and that's terrible.
2 people died out of a fucking militia that you were involved in, dude. Like...
But
But
when you have people burning down buildings, there's always that chance life is going to be lost.
Who were the good guys and who were the bad guys that night?
There were none.
I don't think there were any.
There you go.
I think the militia guys and the protesters were just individuals who were stuck in a situation, and
you weren't stuck in a situation, you put yourself in the situation.
We're doing the best they could with it.
Kyle came here and he played cowboy. He played vigilante. He came here looking for a confrontation, and he found one.
Yes.
Who's responsible? I can't tell you. You know, I guess everyone who was there that night holds some level of responsibility. And who carries the most, I can't tell you.
Why didn't you guys arrest him right then and there?
They didn't know it happened.
Because if it would have been one of us, things would have happened a lot faster and a lot differently.
I feel like that's opinionated.
Some people feel like Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero, and some people feel like he is a murderer. I feel personally that the situation, regardless of what was happening, should have resulted in something completely different and not people dying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Facebook shouldn't be allowing militias to form on their fucking platform. Six criminal counts, including first-degree reckless homicide. That right there should have been what he got. Right there. Alright, I'm going to end that right there, just because I feel like I've done enough research and kind of have a decision. And what I said was what I felt the decision should have been. He should have got charged with the reckless homicide, because those were the only two people that died, is the two people that he killed. The other guy, fucking dumbass, who was saying, oh, it could have been worse, bro. No. You can't tell what the fuck something is going to be like. You can't. Because there was multiple other riots and protests and shit like that. You can't use that as a fucking excuse that it could have been worse. Because it could have been a whole lot fucking better too, if you want to use it like that. It's a shitty situation altogether. The justice system needs to be fucking overhauled completely. But, that was a dangerous situation all the way around. But anyways, about a month ago, Mahra followed me. So, thanks for that. I haven't been on Twitch in so fucking long. And not YouTube or anything like that. I'm going to try to figure out my Facebook situation, why I can't go on there. But thank you to Sarah Keat for a little bit of conversation. And I've got all kinds of damn social medias that you can follow me on. TikTok I'll probably be banned soon because they like to ban for no fucking reason. Instagram EffinJACS, Twitch EffinJACS, YouTube EffinJACS, TikTok EffinJACS. If you want to follow, if I get banned off of EffinJACS, then follow EffinJACS too. But in the end of the day, based off of this, Black Lives Matter. There's a reason why they're mad. There's a reason why they're angry, and there's a reason that such chaos happens when stuff like this happens, because the justice system is completely fucked. It is what it is. Kyle should have at least gotten reckless homicide, because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. A lot of those people shouldn't have been there, but I mean, that goes for every single one of them. He shouldn't have been there, and him being there resulted in 2 people losing their lives. And 1, I think, paralyzed. So, the whole justice system is fucked. Thank you guys for watching. Whenever, wherever, however you watch, I think is what I say. And hopefully I will see you guys soon.